Do you guys remember just a couple of months ago we were talking about how there was so many layoffs? Okay, this is actually again indirectly related to Microsoft again, unfortunately. Um, do you guys remember how they laid off like a whole bunch of people because they just, I don't know, they apparently can't keep up, with the whole people. The amount of creativity coming out of the studio, they just decided to let some people go. And one of the projects that got cancelled as a result of that was called Project Blackbird. Project Blackbird was attached to Zenimax MMO, Zenimax Online Studios, and yeah, and their MMO was called Project Blackbird, right? The entire studio got laid off. What they did after getting laid off was to form a new studio with no outside investors and full creative control, apparently. And they're calling it Sackbird, which is fantastic. I think it's amazing. This is the article that I found it on PC Gamer website. They literally got fired from Project Blackbird and then formed a new studio called Sackbird. I think that's hilarious, dude. But I think it's genius. I think it's genius because this will market themselves. They're like, oh, what's your studio? Sackbird. Oh, why Sackbird? Because we got sacked while working on Project Blackbird. Project Blackbird got sacked. We Sackbird. Makes total sense. Some of the laid off developers behind Project Blackbird have now announced the formation of a new studio, cheekily named Sackbird. Get it? With no outside investors and full creative control. The team is focused on building great games on their own terms. This itself will actually bring in probably investors interest in the studio, but I think as long as if you can maintain full creative control as a studio, I think it is okay to have some investors because that would help. That would help to pay the bills. After years in AAA, we want the freedom to take the smart risks without waiting for a green light or chasing quarterly targets. Totally with you, dude. Said Davey Worley, Sackbird Studios COO. We are fully employee owned and funded, which means we only answer to people who are passionate about games. The 10 founding members of Sackbird include developers who are working on Project Blackbird, as well as former leads and key contributors from the Elder Scrolls Online. So, some people from Bethesda, as well as being employee owned and self funded. They describe the studio's focuses including creative control and sustainable development. Okay, I'm here for it. We're grateful for our time at Zenimax Online Studios. It shaped us as developers and as people. I mean, this is a very nice way of saying like, yeah, it kind of sucked, but thanks for nothing. I might be reading into it, but like honestly, what else can you say? This is what everyone who like leaves a company says about the company they used to work with, especially if they kind of left after getting sick of the place. When they don't want to like badmouth it, but like kind of want to come off nice about it. This is the sentence. This is exactly what you say. I'm so grateful for the time I had in my previous company. You know, it shaped me. I learned a lot of new things. Like I would say it myself. This is exactly what I'm getting from that. When I learned that Blackbird was being cancelled and a lot of people were losing their jobs, it lit a fire. We realized the best way to protect our craft and our team was to create a studio where creative independencies isn't negotiable. Sackbird Studios isn't ready to announce a game to go with this manifesto, but is apparently in active development on something that will be coming to PC and console. While Project Blackbird was described as a Destiny style MMO shooter, it's tough to imagine a small team that says it has no mandate to chase trends making one of these. Yeah, I don't think, to be honest, they will be making something like Project Blackbird. Also because it's Zenimax IP and you don't want to sort of overlap that, especially coming from the company, which could lead to like legal issues. I think they will probably work on like something really fresh and what speaks for themselves, and it could be something amazing. It could be actually really shit. We don't know yet. That's the whole point of this whole thing. They just started working together, right? It's a new studio with experience behind them. with no game announcement yet. So we just got to let them cook it and then, announce it when it's ready, right? So that's it. We just gotta sit on the sidelines and just watch and observe what they do. But I don't think they will be doing an MMO shoot or anything like that, anything big like that. Also because they are a self-funded small studio now. Doing an MMO requires a lot of infrastructure that they probably cannot afford at this point. So it will probably be a smaller single player RPG or maybe something like that. I'm just speculating. Or it could be even something totally different, like a strategy game or something. We don't know. But they're definitely going to be doing what they want to do at this point, and clearly they have a vision. So seeing as how they're already in active development on something, but I guess we'll hear about it in a couple of years, right? I mean, it's good. It's good news. We don't really hear about these kind of good news all the time. We only ever really hear about game developers getting fired and all these numerous layoffs, and we rarely hear something good come out of it. And this, I would say, is a win. It's a win for the devs who got fired from Zenimax. It Now they finally have the creative freedom to do what they want. Much tighter circumstances, yes, but they do have their creativity on their side, and they can use it fully to their heart's content and do exactly what they love doing, which is what's important. And yeah, it's really great to hear when people get come together like this and actually start to do their own thing out of something really bad. um, at least this bunch of people have something going on, which is really cool to hear. It's the same thing as the people who made Clay Obscure Expedition 33. I think those that studio is also formed by like Ubisoft ex devs, I believe. Not that they had, not out of like layoffs or anything, but I think like a lot of people who got sick of working with Ubisoft left and formed that studio and made that game, which is now undeniably a Game of the Year contender, which is absolutely nuts. Like that. I mean, it came out of such a small studio and now it's a Game of the Year contender. So like that, good things can happen out of these kind of things, right? So I hope this is also one of those stories where a really good thing happened. I'm rooting for Sackbird, and I'm really hoping that they put out something really cool like Expedition 33 did. Even though it doesn't have to be exactly the same kind of thing, it could be anything, and that it really works out well for them, and that people as players really support these small studios and let them shine in their creativity. I really hope that happens. I want it to be like another Hollow Knight story. Hollow Knight came out of Australia, a really small team. It was kind of a very small indie game, and it took the entire world by storm. And now the second game, Silk Song, released just a couple of weeks ago. It was literally like everybody jumped on it, and I think at one point it had even more people playing than Battlefield 6 open beta, which is crazy. It's given that it's a small indie game, and it was like only $20 or something. So even like hackers were refusing to repack it, put it online, because it's important to support small devs like this who put out affordable games. If you can't spare $20 to buy the game, you shouldn't be playing games. Do something else, go out in the nature, go for a walk or something. I don't know. I'm not your dad. You know what I mean, right?